All right, and thank you for joining another episode of Plooza. My guest at this time, it's a very special guest. It is an art panel of these amazing, talented artists. So let's give a virtual round of applause for Rusty Gilligan, Jay Moores, Michael Machung, and Holly Shivel. Thank
Not to
you
be
all for
confused
being
with
here.
Holly Shiver.
Exactly. That's not alter ego.
It's the alter ego.
Once the heat stops working.
uh, Gentlemen and lady, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being on the show. So welcome to Danapalooza. If you would like, I'll let each one of you introduce yourself, so that way you guys get familiar with the whole panel. We'll start with Michael.
All right, it's great to be here, and thank you once again for reinviting me on your program. Okay, I'm Michael Bachang. I'm a writer and illustrator, and I'm the founder of Tuye Moan Horror Publishing. Its first production, The Empyrean, which is a dystopian sci-fi novel, will debut in January. Okay, and following that will be a myriad of productions, especially an art compendium, a comic book version of The Empyrean, an Empyrean sequel, and a few other products as well.
Thank you, Michael. Up next, we'll go to Holly.
I'm Holly Shivel, not Shivel, of course, got that straightened out. And I am a fine artist. Basically, I take old pictures that may be destined for basements, attics, or maybe even fill, and then I draw things into pop art, like comics, cartoons, anime, video games, anything that that looks like it's missing, and I put it in there. And I go to local comic book conventions, and that's my night job. My day job is for a large nonprofit, so I'm a multitasker.
Thank you, Holly. Up next, Jay Moores.
Oh, good to be back, Dan. My name's Jay Moores. I am oh boy, you guys have a lot of time, right? I am a writer, an artist. I'm a comic colorist. I'm also a game designer now. That's been my new thing, and I might as well mention that a little bit. I have a new tabletop role play game called Fae, where unlike Dungeons and Dragons, in this game you play the monster. It's basically a tabletop role play game that is simpler. So if you have enough cognitive ability to play Monopoly, you could play this game. So this is the kind of tabletop game where it's a good gateway drug. Basically, you can take your friends that don't play these kind of games and be like, "Come on, just try it once. One time is free." And then,
Thank you, Jay. And finally, Rusty Gilligan.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me back, Dan. I have been a comic book and film artist since the late 1970s, and I've also been acting and doing voice acting all this time. And in the industry now, I do also, aside from comic art and card art, publishing comic books and trading card sets.
That's right. You can see all of these amazing artworks by checking out the social medias. Make sure to check out the Facebook and Instagram for Michael Machung. That's michael.machung.102977. Jay Moores, check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Rusty Gilligan, to check him out on Facebook. And also check out Holly Shivel's Facebook page, Upcycled Art by Holly. So make sure you are following that.
It's at michael.mac.102977.
Okay. My mistake. It's at michael.mag.
.102977.
Okay. I got it now.
All right, cool.
Thank you. So make sure all of you are following that. So, we are getting close to the holiday season. Is there any projects you all are currently working on? Let's start with Jay.
Oh, I already had my project, but yeah, I have my tabletop role play game. I also have for my patient readers of my main comic series, Autumn Gray. I am promising that I will complete the saga in the upcoming year. Now that the lion's share of the game has been taken care of. Let's see what else. I've been working on sketch cards for a couple different companies. Those will be popping up around places. And I'm also working with Rusty on a couple of projects, including a comic, a really cool card set that he's been putting together for quite some time now, and now we're really starting to congeal the whole thing. And a couple short stories. I'm art directing, voice acting again, some of it with Rusty. Yeah, a whole bunch of things all over the place.
Jay has what we would call a list to do and many, many things on the list.
I have two lists now. I have the list of I hope they don't call me's, which is my new thing, where I've officially reached the point where there's projects that didn't have due dates. And because they don't have due dates, it means I'm never going to do them. And so they're on like the dry erase board that if I go try to erase, nothing comes off. You know that one? That's that one right there. Yeah.
Very good, Jay. Let's go on to Rusty. What are you currently working on?
I just finished doing Star Wars and Topps baseball cards for Topps. And this coming week, I'm doing voiceover for a horror movie, and I'm also doing a voice for a cartoon in the UK. And then art-wise, I'm going to be working on a set based on retro cartoons coming up for next year. And I'm doing artwork for two films right now. One horror film and one is like a little closer to a documentary. And then I'm going to be producing a Golden Age superhero trading card set, comic book, and we'll be producing a radio play that'll go along with it. It'll be the first of its kind, starting in the beginning of the year. And then obviously Jay is tied into almost everything I do. So
the plan in foils. Yes, it does. Well, I think that's great, Rusty. A little curious about your UK voiceover. Do you have a British accent with your UK character?
no, actually, I one of them is a wrestling cartoon where they're all animals, and the other one I play a banana. So I don't have to have an English accent. I just have to be nuts.
Oh, okay.
And they're fabulous, by the way.
Yeah. The horror movie one is kind of interesting because I'll be playing an inanimate object, and I have it's like a very weird. The funny thing is, you can't even tell that the object is talking. It's just one of those things where it's like, and then you say something, and it's like moving a little bit. So,
looking forward to that. All right, let's go on to Michael.
All right. As I mentioned previously, I've been very busy with my dystopian and sci-fi novel, The Empyrean, and that's basically a story that focuses on a future society whose world is in deep peril. But miraculously, a sign appears in the skies. And is it their salvation? That's the question. Okay. And so an evacuation is put into effect by the world governments, which happens to be threatened by an overwhelming terror. And of course, the story touches upon such themes as government corruption, conspiracy, horror, mayhem, and so forth. It's not a pretty story, as I mentioned to you before. And so I'll be receiving my copy and line edit on the 8th of next month. And so we're looking forward to a January debut. And I'd like to share with you, as well as our guests, some of my illustrations for the Imperium. Okay. Now, Dan, you're already familiar with this illustration. It's the front cover,
Right.
but these folks aren't. Okay. So this will be the front cover of the Imperium. Okay. The eye, you're probably wondering what its significance and everything. You'll know about it when you read the book. All right. Here's a new one I haven't released. Okay. All right. You guys can see it? All right. All right. So basically, that's an illustration of one of the antagonists in the novel. Okay. She's basically a witch, obviously. And she uses this mysterious, I believe it's a hexadecagon, all right? And it's operated by the spirits that she summons, from the depths of the earth, okay? And these spirits guide her in her predictions, in her psychic predictions. And her name is Ada. You'll know more about her when you read the book, definitely. Now, what's going to happen after the book? Will be a card compendium, as I mentioned in our previous interview, and the artwork in that will be by me as well as other contributing artists. Okay, a comic book version will be put into effect, an audio, an ebook, you name it. All right. Also, I had worked since it's Christmas season. I just finished a short story called "The Christmas Day." And it's a horror fantasy revolving around an altruistic nurse who feels impelled to place everyone else before herself. And she's quite successful, but she actually meets a challenge at the end. Does she overcome the challenge? That's the question. Okay, you'll find out.
Very good, Michael. I love the delivery for selling your project. So, and finally, let's go to Holly.
Okay. I feel like I'm a slacker. All you guys are doing something, and I'm like, this is my downtime. Summertime, I get really busy. That's usually where I get. But right now, it's commission time. One every Snow White in the Woods, and sometimes they give me parents' pictures from like the 1920s wall, which is great. But you kind of don't your great grandparent style hanging on the wall. So they're like, can you throw Loch Ness in there? I'm like, absolutely. And right now, while I'm talking to you guys, I don't know if you can see that or not.
Oh yeah,
good one.
It was like an old barn.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like a very old barn. That is not a commission. That's just I was bored before I went to work today.
Grant Wood would be proud.
Yeah. Well, trying to do everything that I want, and I started painting completely. It's canvas. It's so that's all I've been up to lately. I feel like I say a lot more on things while you guys are doing all the things. I'm in the corner painting.
All right. Thank you, Holly, for all that. It's great. I enjoy the Simpsons farm life. I think of kind of maybe Greenwood Acres or something instead of the Simpsons song, but that's just my take on it. So, as we had this year in 2022, what was the biggest challenge for you as an artist? We'll start with Jay.
All right. Well, my least favorite thing to do was, and still is, launching a Kickstarter. It's the most stressful part of the process for me. And with my game, I had put so much time into it. I had so many other artists, including Rusty, that have put a lot of time and work into the book as well. And it was that moment of truth when you find out how many people that showed interest actually meant it. And last time I did one of these, it went belly up on Kickstarter. So I was dreading this. I'm like, this could be like the nail in the coffin, Like I'm just going to take my last 2 years of work, rip it up, throw it out, and go cry for another year. But thankfully, as soon as I launched it, I had that good old watching the number rise live right there on the page. And in less than a week, we hit our goal. And then we just started unlocking things that I'm still struggling to get finished in time to ship with the books. But yeah, it made it. So that was a sigh of relief. And, I have a lot of people excited for the books. And thank goodness they actually are, because if not, I'd be like, hey guys, I'm doing some really cool pictures of my sketchbook. You want to see the cool pictures from my sketchbook? Hey, Rusty, can I have some of those pain meds? No, everything's good. It's been awesome. I've been starting to look into gaming conventions, which is a whole new world of things for me. I've been talking to people at PAX. I have all kinds of things going on, and I don't know how I'm going to find time for them. I'm going to have another list on the wall next to the list of things I'll never get to, which is the things I really want to get to, which I will also never get to. But it'll be there. I'm going to have a lot of lists over there.
Oh, well, that's great. I definitely like your how you still stuck with the Kickstarter, and just
I really
even
like that it
the
works.
voice that you did. It reminded me of, I don't know if you remember the show Daria. There was a character named Trent, and he would always talk like that, and he would just go from time to time. So that's what it reminded me of when you were talking in that voice.
Yeah. I think everyone in the show Daria spoke like that.
It's the same person for everybody.
Probably.
It's one actor.
But he wore a wig. So you could
Yeah. Okay, Michael.
Well, I've encountered many challenges, throughout the year. I'll just focus on a couple. One of which was the inflation crisis. It kind of put a burden on the financial budget I had set aside for Tuya Monhar Publishing, to finance the capital that I need to get this company up and running. But I managed to work around it, and everything's all cool. I can't think of any other challenges at the moment, except putting my book in a annotative developmental format. Okay, that took a lot of time to do. Okay, because previously when I had finished developmentally editing it, I was satisfied with it until my editor said, "Oh, no, you got to go a little bit deeper here." Okay, so that was a little time consuming because I was anticipating on an earlier release, for the Imperium, and so I managed to work around that. I got that out of the way, and got another edit coming along, and that will get out of the way as well. So I'll pretty much roll along with the punches. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. That's how Michael rolls.
Exactly, man.
I feel like your song should be like, "They see me rolling." So we can make a whole song for that. Maybe that'll be a future TikTok for you.
Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Okay, let's go to Rusty.
What was the question again? Was it
The biggest challenge that you faced this year?
challenge? Oh,
Yes.
I'm kidding. I guess for me it was actually getting free time, because
Yeah.
I've had so much work this year. I barely get any time to do anything on my own. I literally gang up on my calendar like 3 jobs at once, and I'm blasting through each one. And when I take a break from one, I start on the next one. So I really didn't have any free time this year. I'm surprised that I even started working on the new card set and comic, because I'm still busy with stuff. And Jay and I still haven't even started this story for this other book.
That's okay. We got a month. We got to the end of December. Don't worry, we haven't started it. It's okay.
Yeah. But ever since COVID started, I've been literally just off the rails with work. I haven't had 1 month off
Wow.
since the beginning. And then next week I have 3 voice jobs and a film job, and then I have finishing cards for another publisher. So I guess my answer would be free time, or at least the time to rest. It's about it. It's funny because most people will say, "Oh, I had the time off and I couldn't do anything, so I started working on something," and on and on and on. But when COVID started, it was like an onslaught. I must have gotten maybe 4 jobs in the first week, and
Oh wow.
it literally just kept going. So I can't even tell you how much I've done. So
I've been keeping count for you, Rusty. You had 3,126 and a third so far.
that's what it feels. That's what it feels like.
I have a scoreboard. It's over
Yeah.
there next to the lists.
I need a never-ending cup of well, in my case, cup of tea, a pencil that doesn't go dull, and a credit card with thousands of dollars on it. That's what I need. But anyway, that's really about it. Everybody has different challenges, I guess, when they do work. Maybe there's not enough time to do a project, or like Jay had said, raising money for a campaign, and getting a campaign going. I actually have a whole long list of things that I wanted to do, like publishing and on and on and on, and doing a film on our own. I can't get to it. So
Well, you're like the Energizer Bunny, man. You're just keep going and going and going and going. But we're glad that you have a lot of stuff to do. So hopefully in 2023 you'll get that free time, that much needed free time.
I hope.
I'll send you an IOU. IOU need free time. Send it.
By the way, Rusty, I got 3 projects I'd like you to sign up for in January just to get started.
Oh.
Oh yeah, what does this button do? Oh, okay.
All right. Let's go to Holly.
I have to agree with Rusty having any free time. I work full time, take care of my mom. My son's going through a midlife crisis that's draining us financially. Decided we're going to go see back musical Broadway, and I'm like, awesome, go back from Disney. That's great. So I have no free time at all. But between that, like the crypto self-doubt, because I like any sit down to start, like, well, this is going to be awful and it's going to be horrible, but I'll try it. And then halfway through, I'm like, yeah, that still sucks. And I'll keep going. And then about the end, I'm like, it turned out not so bad. I'm like shocked and happy. So it's really bad up until like a fourth of the way through. So that's all I'm working with, is crippling self-doubt and financial stability.
Definitely. I hope that you get some more free time. It's cool that you got to go to Disney though, so at least yeah.
We did go, but Hurricane Ian shelter in place for 2 with 2 teenagers.
Oh no. So very limited Disney.
The cheeseburger still cost $17, so we still got that. Still got to have that. That was great.
You're like, Mr. Disney, I need a refund. All right. So let's go on to I have an interesting question. Do you remember the first thing that you ever sketched as when you first found out like you were going to be an artist? Do you remember the first doodle or sketch that you ever did? Let's start with Michael.
Wow, that's a good one. So we're going way back. Time here. My first sketch would be, I think it was a lion. Okay, and he was laying down on the ground, and he's just relaxing and enjoying the life as it comes. You know what I'm saying? And that was, I remember that being my first sketch, and very special sketch too, because it happens to be one of my favorite animals. You know, so Yeah, and it was a charcoal sketch because back then, I was really into charcoal. That was my favorite medium because you had so much control over it as opposed to graphite or gouache or oil paint. You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed the charcoal drawings back then. And I'd done a lot of subtractive drawings, but as I can recall, it was the lion being my first sketch that I had etched out.
So you're definitely having maybe some early Lion King vibes with that.
I seen that. I seen that cartoon animation. A long time ago, but it was pretty good. I was really impressed with it. Very colorful.
Oh, yeah.
Pure Disney. You know what I'm saying? And Lion King, Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
They did an excellent job of making that.
It's the circle of life for you, Michael. The circle of life. Let's go to Jay.
Okay, well, you gave me time to think about it while Mike was talking about his lions. So I think the first sketch I can remember doing is I drew my family on the dining room wall. My Crayolas were fantastic. Someday when I'm rich and famous, I hope someone starts demoing the wall and discovers an old J. Moore's original behind the wallpaper that my parents promptly put up over the walls after I drew on them. And then I guess my first book that I ever made, I remember we were flying, and I believe it was Piedmont because all the kids got the awesome little Piedmont wings because we were like pretend pilots. It was awesome. But we were like held over for like a couple hours, and I had this stack of blue paper because someone didn't want it, and that's fine. I had it stapled together, and I started drawing sharks on it. And then I decided I was going to make up my own facts about sharks and create my own shark fact book. Things about like how they love to hunt seagulls. I had all kinds of things. And then a couple of years back, my parents were cleaning out the attic. My mom actually found this shark book. It is currently somewhere in my vast pile of books off to this side over here, not the list side, the book side. But I do recall my awesome shark facts and shark book being the first time I was illustrating a book and really feeling like this is what I wanted to do,
I feel like you need to be on Shark Week with that shark book.
I feel like that shark book could
There's your book.
Yeah, fabulous. Animal Planet would kick me off. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, it's right here in my book.
You're like, it's educational.
It's make-up-cational. Yeah.
Yeah. And for your drawing at home where you drew on the wall, I feel like there needs to be a red velvet rope, and people can't touch it. They can just look at it and like take pictures of it.
I don't think my first time drawing with crayons on the wall is that good, but thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, let's go to Rusty.
First sketch I did, I don't have a great story like all of you. First sketch I did was a werewolf to impress a girl, and I got a kiss, and that was the best payment I got.
Yeah, my wife doesn't like it if I insist on that kind of payment anymore.
And ever since, that's the best payment I gotten too.
Yeah.
My first professional job was neo-professional job. I was drawing pictures of Marvel characters for convention flyers, and then which got attention from a few publishers, and that's how I wound up doing my first job for Marvel. Was Stan Lee had given me. I worked on the Mighty World of Marvel book, and I had in the UK, and I did Captain America picture. And then after that, I had done a bunch of pictures for Comics Buyer's Guide. And then my first film job was I worked on Heavy Metal, the movie, back in '81.
Oh, wow.
So, but the werewolf, that's it. That was the best one. That's it.
See, it's a happy ending.
No, it just stopped at a kiss. What are you implying? God damn the perv, it should say.
If you've done the whole Monster Squad, Rusty, just saying.
I was trying to make it like after school, like Disney, but you went the other direction. So,
Yeah. It was going pretty good, and then it just
yeah,
went.
it went. Holly?
I also walls. I did. Mine was this. I didn't have the 28 crayons. I had blue Bic, and it was on my mom's imported early wallpaper. Just had, but I knew I was going to get in trouble. So when I drew my unicorns, and rainbows, I put my cousin's name under it. So I didn't dawn on. First of all, he was a 10-year-old kid. Probably wouldn't do that, boy. And second of all, he lived in 4 hours away. That never dawned on me. So I got in trouble for it, and I had to, take wallpaper down, paste it at 6 years old. So you guys need that. And then my first gig was for the mall. Took kids, they had made their handprints, had to turn them into different animal sea life, different things for their Captain McFinn. Don't be pain. And I still remember what I got paid. It was as good as a kiss that Russ got. That was my whole payment. So that was how I started. I started on walls, went to sea life. Now I get paid a little more,
Yeah. I feel like if we're going to have an art museum, we're going to have the wall section. We're going to have Holly's wall and Jay's wall. They're going to be like next to each other.
My mom's house across the street from where I live now. I went up there. Still Odie from Odie. Still on the wall. Still there.
Oh, wow.
I love painting on walls. You can't get rid of it. It's awesome.
It's fun.
When you pull up your wall, mine's not longer. Death Star with Ewoks. I don't know yet.
Oh, wow. I can tell you about my first time with my first drawing experience. So when I was a kid, we used to play Win, Lose, or Draw with our family. And I don't know if you do any of you remember that board game where you have to play and draw the thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think I was like 5, and all I could draw was like Ghostbusters and like rocks, like little stickmen and little protons, and so like, I would get that card, and they would be like, is it Ghostbusters? Is it a rock? Because that's all I could draw, so like, that's all like I would draw. I draw like, like Egon, like on a rock, hanging out with Ray, and like all these different characters. And then as I got older, like a few years, we would still play the game. And then I got like Washington Monument. So I went from like stick people to rocks to like the Washington Monument. So I'm trying to draw like
rocks, still rocks.
Yeah. So I'm like drawing like that, and like I'm drawing, and they're like rock, and I'm like, it's like in the family of the rock, and they're like Mount Ghostbuster. I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not a drawing, and like everybody just said like the same things, and they're like Mount Rushmore. They're like, when could you draw other stuff, Dan? I go, I've expanded beyond the Ghostbuster rock phase. I am now drawing other things. But yeah, it was definitely good, and I actually was I was taught by a Disney artist here. We had an art teacher, and he retired, and he worked for Disney for a couple of years, and he kind of gave lessons, and he taught me like the basics of drawing. So
Who was that animator or artist?
I forget his name because he's not like really well known, but he lives like in this area, but I haven't seen him for like 6 years. So like, but he would take like he would have like these different lessons for me to do, and do the breakdowns of the shapes and like houses and characters, and start from the ground up.
That's wonderful that you can have something like that. It's a lot of times I hear artists say, "Oh, I went to school, blah blah blah," or "I picked up the lessons on my own. I watched YouTube, whatever." but it's nice to see, somebody having a mentor to do something. I like that.
Yeah, he was a nice guy. He couldn't draw too much because he had carpal tunnel from all the years of drawing. So he would just he just kind of like be like over me, like very Obi-Wan, be like, and draw with a pencil band. Okay.
But that's cool, though. That's cool.
So it was definitely good times for me. So I encourage people to do that. But and I did sell some of my paintings that I just did for art class. But other than that, that's pretty much it. It's mostly a recreational thing for me.
That's how it starts, Dan.
Yeah. So
Right.
Rusty will send me 10 emails of stuff to do, and
Or you're gonna get our runovers now. I'm gonna start sending it over you. Rusty's
You've
gonna
got
send you
mail.
some.
Delete.
He'll open up those emails, and to his surprise, it'll be like, "Why do these look like centerfolds from men's magazines? I don't understand. What are you really showing me here?"
What are all these rock emails? You want me to draw a bunch of rocks now?
That's it.
Anytime I need a stone wall, I'm going to Dan.
Yeah. So, what is the most popular character that people ask you to draw or that you have drawn yourself? We'll start with Rusty.
Believe it or not, people ask me most of the time to draw their animals. I don't usually.
Okay.
I mean, I know it sounds dumb. It's not really the answer to the question, but I actually get that a lot. Can you draw my cat, my dog, my horse? I got a fish one time. They took pictures of their fish. So yeah, that's pretty good. As for characters, I think the most I get, aside from Batman, which I think everybody gets, but aside from Batman, I would say the funny animal characters like Howard the Duck, Heckle and Jekyll. I get a lot of that. It used to be that I would get Deadpool all the time, but I hate that character so much that I would just tell people, "Yeah, this is what Deadpool looks like if he was wearing the Batman costume," and then I would draw Batman. So usually it's their animals or funny animal stuff. So
That's great. I like the anti-Deadpool. That cracks me up. Rusty, I'm going to send you 10 emails for Deadpool.
don't be surprised if they come back looking like Howard.
They're going to be animal Deadpool. All right, let's go to Michael.
All right, good question, by the way. All right, so ever since I embarked on my art career, many customers have requested me drawing the Incredible Hulk, and a lot of times them with the Incredible Hulk. So we're talking about a lot of commissions, all right? And I'll talk about this one experience with this girl who DM'd me and requested a commission, of herself with her favorite characters, among them the Hulk, Tigger from Disney, Captain America, Thor, and who else? There was another character. But anyhow, I drew it out where I had the Hulk lifting the boulder with the rest of those characters on top of it, and Tigger's on the side, hanging for his life. You know what I mean? Just to keep the humor, that comes with the character. Continuing within the drawing. And of course, you had Captain America pose with his shield, and Thor with his Mjolnir hammer, pointing to the sky, in a godlike fashion. So I think that was a very special drawing because what I had done was I kept true to each character's personality in the drawing, a Hulk show off his strength and, and so forth. And I thought that was pretty fun drawing to craft, and I've done a lot of other Hulk artwork as well, and but when it comes to it, I'll just add this in. You didn't ask this. But when it comes to drawing the Hulk, I always gravitate toward drawing the Great Hulk. He's a wise guy. Okay, he never lets anyone get the last word, And when I had this intention to draw the Hulk, like the Great Hulk or the Merged Hulk Ultra Hulk or whatnot. It's always the gray one I gravitate to. So yeah, that's been my experience in drawing a character with high frequency. You know?
I like to think that your Hulk, what was going on with that, with Tigger on the side, is Tigger was supposed to be the spotter for Hulk, but he couldn't, because he's not as as tall as the Hulk, and that's why he's hanging on the rock.
Well,
So it's
he's
like they're lifting
acting
weights and he can't spot him.
he's acting as a klutz of the drawing, So I'll DM it to you in case you didn't see it.
Okay. Let's go to Jay.
Well, I'm kind of like everything else. I'm all over the place. I don't. I guess my best selling, say at conventions, would be my Spider-Man, but that may be because Spider-Man is just generally super popular. That reminds me, I got to restock my Spider-Man prints. But then, as far as like being hired to draw by companies, the one I've drawn so much that I'm so sick of is Vampirella. I have probably drawn her at least 300 times at this point, and the last set I had to do with Vampirella, I was really struggling coming up with something I haven't already drawn with her. I'm like, I remember the first time I got commissioned to do Vampirella, I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna do Vampirella. I was telling people that are fans of it, and they were so excited. And now I'm like, please, when they reach out to me, I'm like, please don't ask if I can do Vampirella. Please don't ask if I can do Vampirella. Okay, I'm doing Vampirella. So last time I made them all like little cartoony, chibi kind of style Vampirellas, just because I'm trying to mix it up. But for some reason, Rusty's probably done a billion Vampirellas as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're working on the same sets.
What happens is a lot of times when you do these kind of like licensing jobs, they wind up getting the contract to a character, and you got to draw it like 500 times. You do all the cards. I did a job where I had to do for the Captain America film. So I drew like 50 or 60 Captain America poses. I had to draw side views, back views, front views, just his pants, believe it or not.
You better like the character at least on some level.
You get so intimate with the character, you're like going to sleep and you're like dreaming about the character that you're drawing, and you wake up and whatever, and you're taking notes to yourself. You're like, show her from the side. Okay. Show her drinking coffee. That's exciting. Okay. And you go nuts. Then when the job is over with, you're like, oh, I should have thought of that. That was a good idea. Oh, damn it. I could have done that. Blah, 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 blah. And then when the next job comes up, you forget everything that you've done. And then you start from scratch and you're like, how am I going to draw her for the next 30 cards or the next cover? Or
you go instantly blank again. Yeah.
Right. Actually, Jay, I thought you were going to say that you get requested to draw dragons all the time.
I do. Well, that too. I get a lot of fantasy stuff. I do a lot of like character portraits for people for their game characters and stuff like that too. But back to your thing about you dreamt about Captain America because you're drawing so much. I have yet to have a Vampirella dream. Usually I dream about waiting in a line. I don't know what that says. I don't know if anyone has one of those dream books to interpret it, but usually waiting in a line in my dreams.
Waiting in a line to draw Vampirella.
Probably. Or I might as well draw Vampirella while I'm waiting in line,
All right, let's go to Holly.
Mine is always, that's the number one request. Yours, Death Star, X-Wing, Yoda. Can't remember Baby Yoda's name. I think I'll block it out. I don't know. But, and mine, drawing like Darth Vader, but people don't realize like black on top of black on top of black. So like there's dimensions so it doesn't look like just a blob with is it very sometimes. And I put them in places that you wouldn't expect them, like have a Victorian era couple by the pond, got Vader out there and waiter fishing with the Force. He didn't. And Doctor Who, you can put a TARDIS in almost anything. I get a lot of TARDIS requests, and the big scarf, Tom Baker that wore the big one.
Yep.
My doctor, I'm better, newer ones. And Deadpool. You can stick Deadpool. A cheesy back I can put him somewhere in a toilet, the bathtub. I mean, it always fits.
So Rusty, send your Deadpool projects over to Holly.
Yeah, I love it. I always love it. And Audrey from Little Shop of Horrors. And it's gonna have Audrey too. Mario Brothers. That's another fun one.
There you go. That's a nice assortment of characters there. So, as we look to wrap things up, is there anything else you guys would like to say or promote here on Danapalooza today?
Wow, that's a big list.
We've been listing things for the last hour, I suppose.
Yeah.
I tell everybody to go to all comic book conventions. So that way, I mean, COVID killed like 2 years, but every time I go to a comic book convention, I'm always so hot. I'm loving it because there's like people who are excited about art and nerd art and stuff. Like, I love it. So everybody needs to go to all the.
All right. I'd like to reiterate that once again, my book will be out in January, The Imperium, and I hope you guys will enjoy it when it gets into your hands. All right. That's all I got to say.
Well, for doing pitches, I guess I will once again mention my RPG Fae. Rule books actually today have been officially shipped from the print house. They're on their way to my house in some truck. I'm not sure when I'm going to get them, but hopefully they'll be here soon. And these are all going to be first editions. So if anyone that wants to sell it on eBay later, now's your chance.
Well, I have nothing to pitch because everything comes out in January, February for me. So I'm going to be running some contests on my Facebook page to give away some cards and some superhero art.
And I never win, Rusty.
For the holidays. What's that?
I said I never win.
Yeah, well, it's on purpose. It's on purpose. I black out yours when they come on. So
I figured.
But I always do that around the holidays. I post coloring pages for the kids and puzzles, and then I put a lot of contests up. Last year, I gave away about 30 pieces of artwork around the holidays. That's what I like doing. Then in January, I have a whole bunch of stuff coming out. So just keep watching my page. Everything is public, so you don't have to do the friends bit. But I'm giving away a lot.
All right. Did everybody get a chance to go? I know there was a hiccup with the session. So did everyone get a chance?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make certain. So I'm going to go ahead and end it. I'd like to thank my guests, Michael Machung, Jay Moores, Rusty Gilligan, and Holly Shivel. So thank you for being on Danapalooza for the art panel. Stay tuned and watch more Danapalooza on Sunday. I will have model Crazy Kitty on here, and from the Scream movie, I will have Nancy Ann Ritter. So everyone stay tuned for Danapalooza. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to follow their socials, and have a good night.